Hello, this is Peter Combs from Bidamount.com, and today is Saturday, April 15th. I'm a few days behind this week. I was out of town all week picking up a collection in the Midwest. Here's the truck. We brought back about 40, I think it's 45 boxes of items from a collection in the Midwest that we're going to be selling, and we'll tell you more about it as time goes on. We've got to get it all unpacked and sorted. But that's why we're a little late this week with getting the newsletter out. I got home at about 9 o'clock last night after about a 14-hour drive. So here I am, a little tired. At any rate, let's take a look and see how things did last week. It was a pretty good week for a lot of sellers. Some really good prices, and there's some great things coming up this week as well. There's a couple of large auctions up. This was one of the pieces we had in the letter last week. It was a nice robe, nice dragon robe with bright gold threads. It was in good condition, and I think somebody got a very nice buy on it. It went for $3,230, which is a very reasonable price for a nice 19th century robe like this, 5-clawed dragon. The seller was somebody we'd not ever seen before. It was somebody we came across. They obviously hung it in their looks like by their back door. Anyway, it's a nice robe. And next was this painting, this rather nice, presumably 18th century painting. It wasn't getting any attention. It's on silk of a scholar sitting with a young adult, stork overhead. Beautiful, beautiful, simple scene. Very much sort of in the Sung style. And it did pretty well. It was languishing along there for a few days, and suddenly at the end it popped up, and it brought $830. It was a nice painting. Probably the seller thought it might be Ming. It could have been. I didn't obviously see it in person, but it was a nice painting, nice little painting. Somebody got a good thing. And then there was this Kong, a beautiful Kong, nice color, sort of an ocean blue. It had a nick to the rim, as I recall, somewhere around here. Let's take a look. Yeah, it had a couple of nicks around the rim, and but a good example. And there's the mark, nice Guangzhou mark, and it did fine. It brought $5,257. I think without the nicks around the mouth, it probably would have brought $7,000 or $8,000. They usually do, but it's still a nice example. And then we had this rank badge. I want to show this. This was a nice pair of rank badges. Here they are. Beautifully matched pair. Nice condition. Let's get it up there. Come on, there it is. And they look to be really good with a silver metallic ground thread to it, and some precious objects. And the pair brought $898. There's a similar pair we'll have in this week's newsletter that are already up to over $1,500. So they're very similar. And so I think that this fellow, whoever bought this, got a good buy, relatively speaking. And then there was this wonderful little Chunchi plate. This seller had two of them up. He put up one last week and another one this week. But I love the rooster on this. It was a nice example, very well done. There's the bottom of it, and nice 17th century dish. And it did all right. It brought $270. Nice piece of Somatsuki. Very well done. And then the Kangxi jar. This was an interesting Kangxi jar with these leaf-like silhouettes filled with scrolling leaves and fruit and flowers, so forth. It looks to be Kangxi to me. And yeah, it's Kangxi vase. And it went, I think, pretty reasonably. It went for just $1,000. It was a good-looking pot. I think somebody got a great buy on that, actually. Nice going. I think it was about 14 inches tall. Then we mentioned this plaque last week. I mentioned this because in the photographs it looked small, and I thought somebody might get a real bargain on it. It had good detail, nicely painted, very well done all the way around with a nice stand. And it ended up going for $2,247, which looks about right. That's a good price for that. It was a fairly tall thing. It was around 20 inches tall, and a nice little tile. They didn't overpay, and the seller didn't give it away either. It was right in that nice spot. And there was a set of these watercolors up. I thought these were just elegant, very pretty. This was one of them, and the seller had two others as well, but they were all very similar in this manner. Beautifully done, 18th century style. I think they were probably done in the mid to late 19th century, judging by the looks of the color and the way it's assembled. But they did quite well. They brought 635 pounds, or almost $800 US. which is a very fair price for those. And there was this pair of Republican case vases. I like it when these things come in their cases. They make a nice package for a collector because they were often, this is how they were brought back back in the 20s and the 30s. This is a nice mirrored pair, pretty much eggshell porcelain on these, and with the original box. And they went for $6,766. It's highly desirable when you have the box and they're a mirrored pair. Where the faces, the two vases are facing one another. Very nice. And there was this Kangxi plate. This was a very nice Kangxi Wutsai plate. Beautifully done. Had a little cafe on the rim. Nice overglazed purplish blue here and there. Butterflies. Nice example. We had a couple of pairs. We had some pairs of these a few weeks ago. It's always a market for these Kangxi plates. This one was in very good condition. Again, with the Coke cans and the pictures. The guy just loves Coke cans in his pictures. Anyway, the plate brought, it was Grand Pip 7 was the seller, and he gets a lot of Chinese stuff. It brought $763, which I think is a perfectly good price for that. If you go to a major London shop, you're going to pay a lot more than that, because you'd never get your money back. And then we had these two coins, these were Szechuan Dragon. Whoops, I hit the wrong button. Szechuan Dragon coins set in these wonderful holders. I thought these were just terrific. I like these. They had a great look to them. And there's the back. A nice look at the repoussé work on this thing. Boy, they stamped. And the pair did fine. They brought $811. They came from a seller in Santa Cruz, California, named Silverpaw. He's been a long-time eBay seller. He gets good things. And I like those. Those are great. And then there was this massive, you may remember this, there's a picture of the man, the seller, I guess it is, or something. He had it up, was standing next to his silk. That's figure that's about a 6-foot tall man. This was one big silk textile, and it did very well. It brought $3,388, had nice detail, nice strong colors, very, very, very good needlework on this. Nice, very refined. It's probably an early 20th century piece, but did very well. And then there was this plate. This was a rather unusual Chinese export plate. They don't bring an awful lot anymore. Chinese export has sort of been going sideways and downward for a few years now. But this is a really nice example. It's an 18th century plate with this sort of faubois rim mimicking sort of wood grain. But beautifully done and not terribly big, probably about a 9-inch plate. And it did all right. It brought $270, but a very nice example. Seems to be, if you're collecting Chinese export porcelain and Japanese Arita and Amari these days, you can build a heck of a collection on a rather modest budget. And this was this very nice early cloisonné sort of Kongford vase with the splayed foot that we noticed and had on the page. We thought it was a very nice one. The gilding had all the characteristics you want to see in an early piece, and it did very well. It was a Qianlong era cloisonné example. It's not huge, but it brought $5,506. There's always a market for great 18th century cloisonné. And this was a nice one in a rather unusual form. Unusual forms bring premium prices. And we had this. This was this large, sort of mid-late 19th century Famille Rose vase, but it had a rather unusual ground color, I thought. Sort of a grayish, stippled ground. Pretty elegant. Very nice for if you had a house with French furniture in it, I thought. Beautiful colors and rather refined painting. Nice. The detail of the painting on this was quite good. If you look in here closely, the way the colors and the enamels are all shaded in, very well done. There it is. There's another image of the foot, and again, precious objects and scrolls and so forth. And it did just fine. It brought $1,226, but a nice example. It's a 23-inch tall vase, so I think that was a very nice purchase for someone. And then we had this Famille Noire Dragon Bowl with the green dragons, Qianlong mark. It certainly appears to be of the period to me. There's the bottom of it. It's got the right kind of foot that you want to see. Nice deep blue. Has a very old tag on it. Some collection, probably a shelf collection someone had. There's the edge. There's the dragon. Classical styling with this looped over dragon on the back, the way they did them, especially in the 18th century. You see this loop on top of him of his body going, his tail going up behind him. But a very nice one, and it did quite well. It brought $1,652, even with the bits of wear to the enamel. You can see here, I meant to point this out, where the black enamel is actually sort of worn through here, but it still did very well. And then we'll mosey on over to this. This was the big thing of the week. We talked about this. This is the Republican Kong vase. It was a heck of a vase, beautifully done, signed. I don't have the name of the artist. I mentioned it last week, and I forgot to write down his name after I looked it up. But anyway, the vase did really well. It brought $108,000. Not totally surprised. It was up to around $60,000 after just a couple of days. It had thousands of views. It had somewhere in the area of around 200 watchers. Just a beautiful thing. And it brought $108,781 from, again, Grand Pip. He's a good seller. He picks good things. I think I sent him an email hoping he'd do well, and I think he's very pleased. I hope the buyer pays for it. It's always a question. But our own experience, when we get things that go for over 20 or 30,000, they typically do get paid for because you have some more serious players in the room. So I hope he does. And then there was this dragon robe, a rather nice one, late 19th, early 20th century robe, lots of bright colors and in beautiful condition. That's why I put it up. The condition on this just looked fabulous. And it brought $1,668, which is about what these are worth. They're not as worth as much as like the gilt thread one we saw earlier. These were made later, but very nice quality. And eventually the prices on these are going to rise. And then we have this transitional jar from Clay and Brush. He's a seller in Italy. He gets good things. This is a rather nice example. Nice big jar. I like the acanthus multicolored decoration around the rim. Dragon is quite charming. He's almost got the pearl in his hand in his claws at that point, and nice colors. And it brought $5,200, which is a perfectly good price for that. That's about what they bring these days. And this is what's coming up this week. This is a really nice crack Wan Li dish. Beautiful quality. And the photograph is a little bit deceiving. This is a charger. This is almost 15 inches in diameter. It's a big boy. And it has very, very fine quality decoration. The cobalt decoration on this is just excellent. There's a close-up of it. Right here, very good deep colors, nicely outlined, well-defined paintwork on it. Here's the back, exactly the way that you want to see it. There it is, with some old kiln grit here and there, but nicely done all the way around. A little bit of glaze loss here and there, which is sort of typical of these. It's these were not always done perfectly. You get nice chatter marks from the turning here on the base. Something else you want to see. And I think it'll do very well. It's only up to $3 with 5 days to go. You know what? While we're sitting here, why don't we do this? We'll put $400 on it just for the fun of it. There we go. I won't get it, but I'm going to put $400 on it right now. A little live bidding. There we go. And there we are. It's only up to 37. It's a nice plate. I hope somebody else comes in and beats me. It should bring 12 to 1800 pretty comfortably. If I get it for that price, I'll be a really happy guy. And then there's this nice 17th, early 18th century. I think it's probably 17th century fish bowl with matching with its cup. It's a nice little set. There it is. Looks to be sort of early Kangxi period. Here's a picture of the foot rim, the back. This is a really nice little cup and saucer, and there it is, beautifully done. A lovely little thing, and that's got 7 days to go. It ends about in a week. It's up to $73. I suspect it'll do probably 3 or 4 times that. And this is a lot right now that Joni's up in Canada has on sale. This is a beautiful little triple gourd garniture set. You never see these in triplets, like in fives like this, with 3 smalls and 2 bigger ones. Beautiful cafe au lait tops on them. These are really lovely. And they're up to a couple of thousand, but I think they're going to do a good bit more. These are fairly rare. And the other thing that they have up, Joni's has a sale, I think, of a couple of hundred things right now, 150, is this. This is a color I've not seen very often. Incredible, nice Kangxi deep blue, triple gourd with this dark Batavia brown body with these white bands. It's really, this is a really exciting little vase. I like it. There's a picture of the foot. It's got a Morgan Collection label on the bottom, and it may be. That may be perfectly legit. I suspect it is. And how tall is this thing? Let's get the size on this. I should do this before I get you guys on here, but I think it's probably about 9 inches, something like that. Let's scroll down the page really quickly. 10 inches tall. There it is, 10 inches. It's about exactly right. 9, 10 inches for these. Beautiful little example. And this is a porcelain handled pot that Joni's has up right now. Early Kangxi period. Beautifully done. A lot of Ming characteristics in this pot, but a square form body. This is a very unusual teapot. Should do quite well. And it's only up to $26. It closes in a couple days. That's a good teapot. I hope somebody jumps on that. And then Josh Chamberlain has a sale up. He's got 175 items. His username is Juice. He's got, this is a 24-inch Kinkozan vase. Beautiful piece of Satsuma. Josh knows a lot about Satsuma. And this is a very nice one. It does have a drilled base on it, and I know that really freaks people out. But this is a 24-inch jar. This is very, very big for one of his, for this artist. And one of his most desirable scenes with samurai and important court figures. Beautifully done. And last, Josh also has up this big, a nice-looking 19th century cloisonné vase. Good looking foot on it. There it is, nice wear. Good example. And the quality of the decoration is quite excellent. And it's overall in good condition. So, and that's only up to $1.25, but it just started last night. So, check back in a couple of days, but go put a bid on it if you're a cloisonné collector. That's a nice one. And that's about it for the week. I'm running a little bit behind. I apologize for being late. And we'll talk to you all later this week. I got to get the boxes unpacked. All right. Have a good week. Bye-bye.